Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Boy, it's an interesting time, isn't it? So bright and sunny outside, and yet so cold. I'm wearing a sweater today. It's really turned into nice, fresh autumn weather, right? We had Thanksgiving a couple of days ago, and then, of course, we had Black Friday, and only 26 more shopping days till Christmas, right? Oh, no, what am I going to do? There's always, at this time of year, there's all kinds of excitement and adventure and things going on. And I had, I'm sure everyone, most of you have your own Black Friday adventure stories, right? For hunting for that bargain. You really want to get that bargain that you saw in the newspaper or whatever. And, well, I've pretty much kind of given up on that. It's like, I've done my duty. I've definitely stood in those long lines and suffered through, to get that savings, incredible savings. But I have to admit, this year I also got tempted again. One more time. I said this advertisement online for a big screen TV that also has wireless connection, so I could also watch things from my computer on the TV without plugging it in. So I was like, oh, yeah, the newest gadget, right? Something new. And it was on sale for $125. The truth is, the main, TV that we have in the house is being used by Eleanor as a monitor. And our other TV is one that we bought for $20 at a yard sale, right?
Yeah.
So, boy, am I going to make this big leap ahead to this? But the normal price for this TV is like $270. So wow, that's like a lot less than half, and it'd be really nice to have something, when Eleanor's using hers on the computer, we can't use that. So, and especially to be able to watch our Korean soap operas, right? Because can't miss those, and watch them on the little screen is not quite as much fun as having it on a big screen. So anyway, Walmart had it for $125. But the trick was they opened on Thanksgiving. So now it's no longer Black Friday. It starts on Thanksgiving already. So 6 o'clock is when the doors open. 6 o'clock in the evening on Thanksgiving night was when the sales start. Black Friday actually began at 6 o'clock instead of at midnight, right? So, you'd go and you'd stand in line, and we were having dinner at my mom's. And so I thought, I'll let it go. So we had a nice dinner together and went home. And I got home around, 7:30 or so. I thought, why don't I just go over there and see what it's like, right? Maybe there's a chance. So anyway, 8 o'clock, I'm going over to Walmart, and the parking lot's full, and I go in, and it's kind of like chaotic and everything. And I get over to where the electronics section is, and actually there's a line of people to get in to the electronics section to look around for things to buy. I thought, oh man, this is really crazy. But anyway, I stood in line there for a little bit, talking with the people. It's kind of everyone just hanging out, waiting in line, right? That's the adventure on Black Friday, hanging out, waiting in line. And eventually, a salesperson came by, and so I asked him, "Okay, hey, do you know about this? This particular TV?" He says, "Oh yeah, that sold out in the first 10 minutes." So we had a stack of these, a huge stack of them. They were stacked right over there, all gone. I said, "Thank you. Okay, that settles it for me. I'm fine." So I could walk out. But as I walked out, I realized I couldn't get out. They had the normal way to get out blocked. And then I looked and I saw the line of people weaving in and out through all of the clothing sections just to check out, to buy things. So I realized even if I'd found it, I would have had to stand in line probably for another hour just to buy it. So anyway, I went around and was able to escape. So, okay, great. Well, the story didn't end there, because it wasn't just Walmart that had that. Amazon.com had it on their website for $125. This big screen TV with the wireless connection. So, but I kept checking Amazon, and it's not there. And the only one they had on there was like $250. Well, $20 off, $250. That's not what I'm looking for. And then Friday morning, actual Black Friday, I get up and I'm checking my email, and there's an email from Amazon. So I click on that and say, check out our Black Friday specials. So I click, and there it is! $125. Quick, click on it. So I click on it. I just got all excited. All my energy still. I clicked on it. Buy this now, buy. And I clicked over and I get there and it goes, sold out. Oh man, made it a mistake. So I went back and tried it again. I tried it 3 or 4 times and eventually, it's all sold out. Okay. Okay, well, good. Thank you, Heavenly Parent. I was just being tempted to spend my money. I'll just let it go. I can live without it. But, I looked around and said, they do have it on sale for $170. So then I thought, an extra $45. Man, I wanted that special sale, right? That discount. So anyway, I thought, okay, I found it for $170. I put it in my cart, but I still haven't bought it. So don't you know, this morning I get an email from Costco, right? And they sent me their specials list, you have a special promo code, And I look it up, Fry's, not Costco, Fry's. And so what does Fry's say? We've got your TV for $159, And I went, okay, I think I've had my dose of greed. I'm pretty much done and finished with that, But I did save the link. Yeah. I still haven't quite decided, what I'm going to do about this. But we're entering this season of decorations and gift getting and giving. I saw one advertisement that said, yesterday was Thanksgiving. Black Friday, it's Thanksgiving, right? Come shop with us. It's Thanksgiving time. But, we don't want to be too dominated by that. In this coming season, there'll be lots of, like I say, decorating things, and parties. They don't call them Christmas parties anymore. Now they're holiday parties. But anyway, workplace parties and celebrations, traveling. A lot of people will be traveling to visit family and all that. And it all can be pretty stressful in a time when we're supposed to be having a good time, right? It's all about let's have fun, it's a good time, celebration. And there is kind of a nice spirit about, we want to be giving and giving gifts, being creative about giving gifts. And a time where people are generous and the themes of like peace on earth. It's always like that. But we also, want to think about Christmas is, what's the reason for the season, right? So the main reason is what? Whose birthday are we celebrating? Jesus. Happy birthday, Jesus, right? And that's the purpose for the season. So the reason for the season is really remembering the coming of the Messiah 2,000 years ago. And so for the next, number of weeks up until Christmas, our sermons will all focus on Jesus Christ, His life, His impact on us, and also just the importance of God's providence and all the foundation that was made for Jesus Christ to come. So also, though, today I'm going to conclude a series that has dragged on for months and months, where we've been exploring the nature of true love. Right? We've gone through all these exploration of the book in Corinthians, the first book of Corinthians, the 13th chapter. It's called the Love Chapter. So it's appropriate. Just last week we were talking about Thanksgiving and being thankful, which is definitely an important quality of having a loving heart. But as we enter this Christmas season, we're going to conclude and start off with let's focus on true love and Christmas time, and wrap up our series on true love. So let's all read this verse that we've been going through the last couple of months together. Okay, and we'll just read it slowly. Okay, all together. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Great list, right? A great list for us to reflect on. Patience, kindness, humility, forgiving, being thankful, persevering, not being rude or selfish, all this. So I want to just bring in a quote from, this is actually one of Father Moon's sermons that he gave on at Christmas years ago. Father Moon says, "There is nothing greater or more important to God and Jesus and mankind than establishing the tradition of God's love. The commitment you can give that task should be greater than any other task. The most important thing in our life is love. The way we find happiness, the way we find fulfillment in our life is through a life of love. And living for the benefit of others is the simplest definition that we have. We have also a very practical, useful definition. Right? You've heard this many times. Hopefully you have it memorized, and hopefully you're applying it in our life. Right? True love is, first and foremost, it's our thoughts, it's our words, and our actions for the benefit of others, even at the expense of myself. Even if I have to sacrifice myself, I want to benefit and be a blessing to other people, the people around me. Am I benefiting others? Am I a blessing to others through what I'm thinking, the words I'm speaking, and the things that I'm doing? This is also where, again, happiness comes from in our life. Fulfillment and joy comes from that loving relationship that's filled with things like patience and kindness and humility and forgiveness and perseverance and unselfishness. So again, Father Moon's words on Christmas. Christmas Day is the perfect day for repentance, for checking how much you have lived truly as Jesus' representative and loved the world as he did. The true meaning of Christmas is the tradition of the true love of God. We only have 33 days left in this year. 26 more shopping days till Christmas, right? Don't forget that. Are we loving? Along with all the Christmas preparation that we're doing and our activities, let's also use it as a time to reflect on ourselves. Those qualities that we've been exploring, patience and kindness and unselfishness. How much are we applying that in our daily life? So I want to just explore briefly God's tradition of true love in our life, and particularly in terms of the three great purposes that we have in our life. If you think about the tradition of true love, it's at the core of our purpose. And what's the very first purpose in our life? To be fruitful. And that means to eat lots of fruit, especially cranberries, right, during Christmas time. Now, being fruitful means to become a person of true love. And particularly, it's our love relationship and our connection with God, our Heavenly Parent. And this is why we invest in that relationship. Number one is knowing that we're loved. Understanding God's love, presence, and desire for each one of us. And cultivating our own love and caring for God. Now, this is the original motivation for everything that we do in our life, is our love. And the most powerful foundation is our love and care for God. So we, as God's children, loving God as our Heavenly Parent, should care about the things that God cares about. Care about the things that God has hope for and longs for in our life. So that means we need to spend quality time with God, right? We need to invest in our prayer life, meditation time, communing with God, just being in the presence of God. And sometimes you have to block out time and just determine, I'm going to dedicate this time to just being with without any distractions. Turn off the cell phone, turn off everything, and just focus and have that presence. For me, that's the most easy for me to do in my backyard. Small backyard, but we have a tree, and I can look up at the sky, and the sky is infinite, right? All kinds of stars and sometimes the moon. And that's the easiest place for me. But each one of us, you need to find in your place, create a space for yourself where you can genuinely commune with God. Because in that relationship with God, our mind and body unity, self-discipline, self-control, all these things that we're developing, all of them need to be focused on love. The desire to make a benefit for the world around us. Our patience, kindness, unselfishness. Well, the second great purpose, of course, is first purpose is to love God. The second is loving the people around us, loving others. Of course, in the family, especially in the family, my relationship with my brothers and sisters, with my parents, with my children, love in the family, and then expands, of course, to my friends, the people I care about in my life, but actually everyone in my life that I have contact with. It's like my realm of influence. The people that I deal with at the store, when I'm shopping, my fellow students at school, co-workers, all these people I touch in my life, we maintain this tradition of true love. That I'm taking actions, I'm thinking, and I'm caring about others. That I'm making a positive difference in the environment around me. And then the third great purpose, love God, love people, and then love the things of creation. Is fruitful, multiply, and dominion over the things of creation. So then nature, of course, some of us will have live Christmas trees, right? But caring and loving nature. I know some folks went out to the mountains yesterday. We're up in the mountains, hiking around and exploring and experiencing the beautiful nature. There's so much for us to appreciate, but also that means us taking care of nature and creation and not throwing trash around, not polluting, being people who care about the environment. But also, especially this Christmas season, we have to be careful about greed. Do our possessions dominate us, or are we truly loving and caring about our possession, right? That TV, that was definitely got me, right? It was grabbing me, pulling me. Wait, who's the boss here? Maybe the TV was being the boss, but anyway. In the season, it's definitely a nice opportunity because we're thinking creative ways. We want to give things to people. And it's kind of fun. It's exciting to be creative and find things that will bring joy to the person that we're giving the gifts for. But also our overall thinking about possessions and even money and finances. This is an important thing. If we truly love God, we have to recognize, and I encourage you for anything, that 10% of what we receive, our finances, the money we earn, things we get, that 10% doesn't belong to us. We shouldn't even think of it as ours. I have to live on 90% of my income because that 10% isn't even mine. It belongs to God. Now, of course, I hope you'll tithe, to the church and support the church, support church activities. But no matter what, 10% of your income, please give it away. Give it to something that God can bless. Even give it to a charity or something if you don't like the church, Give it. Do not hold on to that 10% because we're stealing from God if we do that. We're not really being God's loving children because that's not ours. That 10%. Now, hopefully you'll tithe to the church, like I said, but even if you don't tithe here, make sure that 10% of your income is going to God. Through a charity or some kind of positive benefit. It's important for our spiritual health, for our life, that 10% we just realize I have to live my life on the 90% is what God has blessed me with. And that 10% is sacred and belongs to God. So a tradition of true love is, of course, our relationship with God as our Heavenly Parent, our relationship with the things around, with the people around us, and our relationship with things and possessions and finances and all that, all those things. Are we being patient and kind and unselfish? Are we thankful? Are we forgiving people? All these things. Now, I want to add just one more point, about our tradition of true love, because we're living in an amazing time. We're living in a very critical time of God's history and God's providence of salvation. So when we think about a life of true love, what kind of life am I leading? What kind of activities am I doing? How am I investing in what God cares about? God cares most about healing this world, bringing a positive change, bringing salvation to the entire world. And, that doesn't mean, just bring people to my church. That means bring people to God, to the blessing of marriage, to the preciousness of creating a family that God can truly dwell in, and being people that God can work through. God's providence of salvation moves forward because of love. Again, God's providence of salvation moves forward because of the power of love. Primarily God's love. Because God loves us so much, that much, God never gives up. God perseveres incredibly. And God has seen lots of hopeless times in history. If you think about when Jesus Christ was crucified and murdered, that was what a hopeless time that was. Here the Messiah only could preach for 3 years. His disciples are a mess. And then he's crucified. They thought, that would wipe it out. And yet, because of who he was, history has been transformed. Even Christian history has lots of dark periods. And yet God always focused on a remnant, the core people that God can continue to work the providence through. Even in our lives, this world is scary. We thought it was really bad in the 60s, atomic war and, the world's going to be destroyed. Well, now we have all this threat of terrorism, and it's so hard to keep hopeful. So easy just to say, there's no hope. It's just going to be, despair, to be filled with despair. I saw an interesting, been watching an online TV show, Amazon.com. It's called Man in the High Castle. You may have seen it advertised or something. It's kind of an interesting story. There's 10 episodes. I watched it at home at high speed, so I can get through it pretty quick. But anyway, and it's an interesting story. It's a science fiction. I like science fiction. So that's probably why I was. Let me check this out. But it goes by the alternate this idea that in World War II we lost. That actually the Nazis got the atomic bomb and they bombed Washington, D.C. and America first with atomic bombs. So it's an alternate history where America is now split in half. The east side belongs to the Nazis and the west coast, California like that, belongs to Japan. And the story is about the resistance people and things like that. And it's an interesting, just a very short little episode, or just dialogue, maybe 3 minutes long. But of course, because of the Nazis, the Jews are actively being exterminated. And one of the characters, his grandfather was Jewish, but so he's kind of like always a little bit scared. His sister and her 2 kids in the show were murdered, were gassed to death. It's like scary kind of thinking, just because they had a Jewish grandfather. And he meets up with his another uncle who's actively practicing and teaching his children to pray with the Jewish prayers and everything. And he has a conversation. Are you crazy? Don't you know that you're not only is it bad that you're having children, because those children have a death sentence on them, but even worse, you're teaching them the religion that's going to kill them. So why would you do something like that? And he says, look, these may be dark years, the dark times, but we're going to survive, because God is eternal. The Nazis and all that they don't last. Doesn't matter. They won't last. God will last. But the thing is, what gets us through this hard times is faith. And if we don't have faith, then how are we going to make it through? Those, the Nazis and this persecution, we've seen that. And it'll come again and whatever. But faith in God is what moves the providence forward, moves us forward. Now, of course, it was a Hollywood movie, so there was no Christians in the movie. But still, the theme of people of faith, no matter what the persecution or the environment, this future you can get pretty pessimistic when you look at the future of this country. The increased level of persecution of faith, where, it's no longer politically correct to speak what you believe, your beliefs. An environment that we could see, if the trend kept going and going, that religion, could be outlawed because it's hate speech. Already laws, we can see a scary and pessimistic future. And then the extremists, especially in some Muslim countries, it's illegal to be a Christian. That kind of world, that scary stuff we can see. But in spite of all that, God's providence moves forward based on people that God can count on. The remnant, the people of faith, the people who can love unconditionally. So, God always perseveres because of love. In our lives, we also have to persevere, not because it's our duty or just endure, but out of the power of love. This is why our connection with God, our Heavenly Parent, is so important, to nurture and strengthen that bond and that connection so that we have the power to endure, to have love, even in the face of the most difficult situations. And nowhere near as difficult as was outlined in that story or even in history. We have nowhere near as difficult. But we do have a lot of very practical things where it's easy to deny our faith, easy to be misguided, and let off. Love is the power that's going to give us the strength to endure no matter what. So, forgiveness, not accusation, seeking out harmony and unity and bringing things together, not forcing division and destruction and attacking. Those things don't build God's kingdom. The heart to forgive, the heart to love no matter what, even the enemy. This is the power that God uses to move history forward and to bring healing in this world. Let me close with these words from Father Moon again on this Christmas Day service. Father Moon says, "Will fruitcake and ice cream make a Merry Christmas? The true content of Christmas is the amount of love you gave during the year. That is far more dazzling than any amount of decorations. We know Jesus' purpose and intention for coming to this world, right, to build the heavenly kingdom. And in addition, we are handpicked by God to vindicate Jesus and liberate the heart of God by accomplishing what Jesus left undone. If we say Merry Christmas with that mind, that sacrificial heart of love, if we say Merry Christmas with that mind, then God and Jesus would respond thousands of times. Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. Let's bring that kind of joy to God, our Heavenly Parent, and Jesus Christ during this Christmas season. Please join me in prayer. Good morning, Father, Mother God, our loving Heavenly Parent. We are so grateful for the chance we have to participate in your providence of healing and restoration in this world. And while, Heavenly Parent, we are so grieved at the failures and the delays in your providence of restoration, we know that you've never given up. So with that heart, we too want to be the sons and daughters, the people of true love that multiply your goodness no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the environment, Heavenly Parent. Heavenly Parent, in this next month we'll be celebrating the precious birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. And we know that with all his heart, soul, and being, he gave everything for the purpose of bringing your healing, your salvation to all people, to this entire world. Yet, Heavenly Parent, because of the faithlessness of the people, he couldn't accomplish that in his lifetime. And yet, because of his absolute faith, love, and obedience to you, Heavenly Parent, your providence was able to continue. And Heavenly Parent, we stand on that rich foundation of Christian history, of the martyrs of so many people throughout history who loved you so desperately with every ounce of their being that they were even willing to sacrifice their life for the benefit of others and the benefit of your providence. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for your love. Please encourage and develop in us that kind of ability to love, to care, absolutely. And especially during this Christmas holiday seasons when we pray you can find joy in all the celebrations. But at the same time, we can keep a deep heart of appreciation and love for your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Heavenly Parent, please guide us. Please join us in all of our celebrations and all of our activities. As your sons and daughters, we offer ourselves to you. Amen and adieu. Okay, thank you, everyone. Please turn to your neighbor and let's share about Christmas.